There are many hosting options out there, but what is the best one for a WordPress website? In this video, we're going to compare different types of hosting solutions and compare the two most popular ones, which are shared hosting and managed WordPress hosting. Hi, I'm Anna, the how-to girl at 10web, your home for a managed WordPress hosting platform powered by Google Cloud. Before we get started, what has been the best and worst experience that you've had with WordPress hosting platforms? Let me know in the comments down below and I will be happy to discuss them with you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell button to receive notifications about our latest posts. Alright, now let's take a look at how websites in general are being hosted. So in order to make your website available to the world, you need to host it on servers, which will be connected to the web. Now, these servers are going to connect the data, the files, the scripts of your website, which will be returned as a result of the search queries that people make on a daily basis. Now, how well these servers are set up and how powerful this server is going to define how fast this process will happen, and how fast it happens defines how fast your website load speed is. So the faster your website load speed is, the higher you will rank on the search engine result pages. So as you see, everything is interconnected, which is why you want to make sure that you choose the best WordPress hosting out there. Now let's talk about the types of WordPress hostings. So there are four main types of WordPress hostings, which are dedicated hosting, VPS, managed WordPress hosting, and shared hosting. So let's start by discussing what a dedicated hosting is. A dedicated hosting will provide a dedicated server for your website only, so you will not have to share it with any other websites. Sounds great, right? And any types of security issues that would have happened to other websites will not have to affect your website, and basically, your website's fortune is not dependent on the other websites, which is great. However, you need to keep in mind that with dedicated hostings, you will need to be the one to set up your server and have it up and running. And if you do not have the expertise, you will want to have a special team that will do that for you, which is going to cost you a lot. It will be at least $100 for an unmanaged dedicated hosting, and it can go as high as $300 per month for a dedicated hosting. So if you do not have the time, the resources, and the experienced team that will help you for setting up and maintaining dedicated hosting, then this option is not an optimal one for you. VPS is short for a virtual private server, which is a type of a shared hosting. The difference between a shared hosting and a VPS is that VPS also use a certain physical server. However, about 10 to 20 websites can be hosted on a VPS. And the reason why it's called virtual server is that each of these 10 to 20 websites have a single virtual server for them. And this means that they have a certain amount of resources provided for them. So whatever happens to one of the websites hosted on this server will not have a chain effect on the rest of the websites, which is great. However, if you are a growing website, virtual private servers are not a great option for you, because in case if you have a sudden surge of traffic for different types of reasons, this may happen, for example, marketing reasons or something else, then the resources that are provided to your website will not scale automatically, which usually happens with other types of WordPress hosting, such as shared or managed WordPress hosting. So if you know that your website might one day have a sudden traffic surge and might need more resources than they actually already have, then VPSs are not something you want to use. Shared hosting is one of the most popular types of WordPress hostings and perhaps the cheapest. The thing with shared hosting, however, is that you have to share everything that is given to your website with the rest of the websites that are hosted on your physical server as well. Unlike VPS, shared hostings do not have a virtual server provided to your website, and so the resources that are given to you are not limited, which means that the security issues that shared hostings usually have and the speed issues, they might be affecting the rest of the websites as well. So this is a great thing in a way that it is going to be cheap. However, you will have to make additional expenditures on securities and on speed and on backups and things like that in order to make sure that your website will not go down one day. So these are additional payments and additional additional headaches that you will have to take into consideration before choosing shared hostings. Now, if you're a small website and you do not think that you're going to grow very fast, you might want to choose shared hostings. However, I would like you to hear out what managed hostings have to offer before you do that. Managed hosting uses several last generation and high performing servers in the cloud computing environment. And managed WordPress hostings are the most reliable and secure dynamic types of hostings that manage every technical aspect of running a website by themselves. So everything with managed WordPress hosting is safe and secure. However, they might be a little pricey, but this aspect has become history as well. Stay tuned to find out. Now, as I promised, we are going to compare two of the most popular types of hostings, which are shared hosting and managed WordPress hosting. Now, the thing that you need to know about shared hosting is that people usually choose that because of how cheap they are. They can start from a $3 per month subscription plan, and it can go as high as $12 per month. But the lower you pay, the more commitment you need to have. So if you're paying $3 a month, then you need to have a 36-month commitment. And with shared hosting, since you have one private server shared with among hundreds of different types of websites, you are going to have a security and speed issues. So you will need to purchase additional, malware removal services, backups, and also SSL certificates, which can accumulate to, $200 a month for a 12-month commitment. And also the speed issue is about a 30 Google PageSpeed score, which are red flagged by search engines for your chances of ranking high on Google. So there are a lot of things that you need to know about shared hostings, and there are a lot of additional costs that you're going to have to cover when it comes to shared hostings. So you might consider all those before choosing a shared hosting. Now let's talk about managed WordPress hostings, which are very secure, they are very safe, and you get a free SSL certificate, you get free malware scans, and you get free backups and automatic ones. So everything is managed by the host, and you literally do not have to do anything connected with the technical aspects of running your website. So that's a great thing. So why people usually ignore managed WordPress hostings is because they are pricey, but as I already mentioned, with 10web, that is already history, and there is a very great plan offered for you. Now stay tuned to learn all about it. So, as I mentioned, 10web has the best price offered in the market for a managed WordPress hosting provider. As you see, our prices start at $10 per month in case of one website hosted at 10web, and it can go as low as $6 per month in case of 10 or more websites hosted at 10web. But let's not go deep into that just yet. In order for you to have a more clear picture, I decided to pick some of the popular shared hosting platforms out there and compare them to 10web. These companies are HostGator, GoDaddy, and BlueHost. I'm going to compare these WordPress hosting providers based on 8 components, and these components are things like page speed, security, elasticity, uptime, customer support, and complementary tools, as well as pricing. Now, let me go through each of these components so that you have a better understanding as to why I chose these components for comparison. Now, starting with page speed. Page speed is one of the most important ranking factors for Google. The higher your page speed score, the higher your chances for ranking on the first page of the search engine result pages. Also, besides ranking, speed helps you decrease your bounce rate. Most users tend to leave a website if it loads anything over 5 seconds. So for the sake of increasing your user experience and driving more traffic to your website, you want to make the optimization process of the page speed of your website a #1 priority for you. So moving on to the next component, which is security. As I already mentioned earlier in this video, due to the fact that websites hosted on a single server share all the resources among each other, they have high security risks and speed risks. Anything that might happen to one website on a
shared hosting platform may have a chain effect on the rest of the websites as well. Which is why you would like your hosting provider to provide you with security services, preferably for free, so that you do not have to pay any additional money besides what you are already paying for the hosting provider. Now, the next thing is elasticity. Elasticity is a crucial component of hosting providers, especially if you have a potentially growing business. You want to stay ensured that the resources given to your website will scale whenever you have a sudden traffic or memory surge. This is preferable for this is preferable to be available for all the plans that a certain hosting company has to offer, so that you do not have to upgrade your plan just to be able to have a scalable resources. Now, the next thing is uptime. Uptime is one of the most important components that you need to pay attention to when it comes to choosing a WordPress hosting platform. Most companies ensure 99.9% uptime. However, this is rarely true. Usually, one of the best ways to ensure that that amount of uptime is to host your website on a cloud computing environment, just like we do here at TenWeb. All the websites at TenWeb are hosted on the last generation of best performing servers of Google Cloud. Now, support is another component that is absolutely crucial, because no matter how experienced you are, you want to have a good customer support available there for you 24/7 to answer all your questions and inquiries whenever you have them. Now, the next component is complementary tools, which are some tools or features that you want to pay attention to when choosing a host. You want to know what additional features and services you will be provided besides the price that you pay for just hosting your website. Now, we will take a look at these deeper, and you will understand what these are. And last but not least, it's pricing. Pricing is definitely something that you want to pay attention to when choosing a host. Seeing a cheap price doesn't necessarily mean anything at all. You need to pay a closer attention to all the features and components that you're getting with this plan, so you do not want to overpay by purchasing additional features besides the host. So now let's go to the pricing and the plans that my already mentioned companies have to offer, and let's see what their plans have to offer, and do they include these components, and are they worthy hosting companies for your website. So, as I already mentioned, pricing is one of the most important components that you should pay attention to when choosing a hosting company for your website. And pricing is one of the most popular things, one of the most common things that people pay attention to when choosing a host. And this may be one of the main things that they look at when purchasing a host. But pricing is very biased, because people may just purchase the the cheapest possible hosting company, but in reality, they may end up paying a lot more, because there are a lot of features that were not included in the plan and they didn't know about it beforehand. And so they just end up purchasing so many things that it just costs a lot more than some other hosting company might have costed for them. So that's why I'm going to help you understand how exactly you should evaluate whether a certain hosting company has a great deal or not for you. So let's start with TenWeb. As you see, the lowest plan starts from a $10 per month billing, which is billed annually. Of course, as I already mentioned, TenWeb is a managed WordPress hosting company. Besides managed WordPress hosting, it also lets you connect 3 sites. You get real-time differential backup. You get a website builder with over 30 premium widgets, about 40 templates, and over 50 premium plugins. You also get services like security scanner, SEO plugin, analytics, and 24/7 customer support that will be there to answer all of your questions and inquiries all the time. So this is about TenWeb. Now let's compare the rest of the hosting companies, as I already mentioned, that we would be comparing. So starting with GoDaddy, this is GoDaddy's plan, and in order to have a more fair comparison, I decided to somehow try to bring all of these hosting companies to an equal ground and then compare them with each other. Now let me explain what this means. So with each of these hosting companies, I'm going to go ahead and choose the cheapest possible plan, which in GoDaddy's case is the $6.99 plan, which is actually on sale, and the regular one would be $9.99. I'm going to add it to cart. Now, as I said, in TownWeb's case, it was a annual billing, so I'm going to choose the 12 months billing. And then I'm also going to include malware and scam removal because this is something that was included in the plan of TownWeb. I'm also going to add the SSL certificate because this is also something that we provide all our users for free. So as you see, whenever I brought all of this to an equal ground for measuring for comparing this plan to TownWeb's plan, we see that the subtotal is $242. Now let's go on to the next one, and then we'll summarize everything that we saw at the end. So the next one would be HostGator. Again, the cheapest plan here is $275 per month. Let's click sign up now. Okay, so over here you have to enter a domain. I'm gonna skip that. You have to choose a hosting plan, and this one was the cheapest one. I'm gonna choose the 12-month billing cycle. I'm gonna skip these as well. I am going to include this visitor data safe and well, whatever this is the SSL certificate, I'm sorry. So I'm going to include that because TownWeb had it for free. And also they have this SEO service, which is also included free at TownWeb. So I'm going to include this as well. They also offer you to get a professional email. We do not have this at TownWeb, so I'm not going to check this one. So after we're done bringing to a equal ground comparison, we see that the subtotal here is 181. This is cheaper than GoDaddy, but still it is more expensive than at TownWeb. Now let's move on and see what BlueHost has to offer. The basic plan of BlueHost is starting at $3.95 per month. Actually, this is on sale, and the normal price is $7.99. But even though, even if it's on sale, we can still do the comparison and see what happens. I'm going to skip creating a domain. So again, I'm going to choose the 12-month billing. I am going to include the SEO tools. And that would be it. And again, it's $179. So Bluehost was the cheapest among these all, but it was on sale, as you saw. However, just like we witnessed with TownWeb, you get a lot more than just SSL or only SEO services. You get a builder, you get plugins, widgets, services like security scanner, SEO plugin, analytics, 24/7 support, and a lot more. And you get all these for only $10 a month billed annually, which is going to come to a subtotal of $120 per month. So among all of these hosting companies, TownWeb is the cheapest, and yet it's not just a shared hosting company, it's a managed WordPress hosting company. So both quality-wise and pricing-wise, TownWeb is winning. But let us not draw any conclusions just yet. We are going to continue our investigations, and the next thing that I decided to do is to host a website with all of these hosting companies and try to see how they perform speed-wise. So that's the next thing that we're going to do. So in order to be able to copy and paste the URLs of the websites and see how they're performing, I will need to show the toolbar from here. Now, as I mentioned, I have created websites and hosted with all of the hosting companies that I've been mentioning throughout this video. And, um, and all of these websites were created using the same template. Now, let's start checking their performances by copying the URL and pasting it over here. So as you see, for the mobile, you get a Google PageSpeed score of 64, and for the desktop, it is 79. And the speed index is 3.3 seconds, which is pretty slow. Anything over 3 seconds is not something that you want to have for your website. And if you want to know what a fast website would have, what score it would be at least 90. So anything less than 90 isn't really good. So let's compare the one of GoDaddy to the results that we got with HostGator. So the mobile is 66, and for the desktop, you get a 79. So most probably, if you host your website with GoDaddy, these are the results that you will be getting. And the speed index is 3.1 seconds, which isn't really good as well. So the next one that we would like to check and see the performance is the one hosted with BlueHost. We have to copy the URL and paste it over here. So it didn't show the result, and things like that happen, so we will need to refresh and give it a second chance. So for the mobile, you get a Google PageSpeed score of 62, and for the desktop, it's going to be 74. And the speed index is very slow, 6.7 seconds, which definitely isn't something that you want to deal with. So I really wouldn't recommend you use BlueHost if you want to have a fast website. Now, the next one that we're going to check is the one hosted with TenWeb. As you see, with TenWeb, you will get a mobile score of 93, and for the desktop, it will be 100, which is the maximum that you can possibly get with Google PageSpeed score. And the speed index is 0.7 seconds, which is amazing. So, and not only with this website, any website hosted at TenWeb gets an automatic Google PageSpeed score of 95 plus. So if you create a website from scratch, you get an automatic 95 plus Google PageSpeed score, or if you migrate your website to TenWeb, there are just a few simple steps that you will need to take, and you will have a Google PageSpeed score of 95 plus, which is something that you want in order to be able to rank high on search engine result pages. And as a result of that, you will get more traffic coming to your website and more revenue in the long term. So out of all these, the best results were the ones with TenWeb, obviously. And let's see which comes after TenWeb. So with HostGator, it was a desktop score of 79. 79 with GoDaddy as well, so they're pretty much almost the same, and 74 for BlueHost. So the worst performing one was BlueHost. Now, this was it for checking out the speed of the websites. But as I mentioned earlier in my video, there are a lot more components that you want to check out when choosing your host. So we will definitely do that next. I will close the toolbar back again, and we can continue by comparing the rest of the components. Now, in order not to bore you by going one by one through each of the hosting companies and comparing the rest of the components with each other, I've already pre-done the investigations for you, and I've created a table that will help you have a more visualized understanding and more visualized comparison between the rest of the components between these hosting companies. Now, let's start with security, which is the next important component after the page speed score and the loading speed, which we've already done. Now, starting with security, with TenWeb, your website is isolated in a single container, meaning that your websites at TenWeb will be hosted on the Google Cloud servers, and they will be in isolated single containers, which means that anything that happens to one of the websites will not have any chain effect on the rest of the websites, which is great. With TenWeb, you get a security scanner, you get built-in login limitations, you get vulnerability scanning, DDoS scanning, scanning and repair of hacked websites, and free website security audit. So you get all of these with all of the plans of TenWeb, and they're absolutely free, and they're just included in all the plans of TenWeb, so you do not have to pay any additional fees for any of these. And now moving on to GoDaddy, your website is on the same server with hundreds of other websites. I have mentioned this a few times already. This is a very bad indicator because it's very risky and dangerous, and this means that you're going to have security and speed issues. So you do get an SSL certificate, but there are restrictions. SSL certificate is not included for free with all the plans. You only get them for free for the last 2 plans, if I'm not mistaken. Then you get 24/7 security monitoring, which is good, and you get a DDoS protection, which is good as well. With HostGator, the same problem of hundreds of websites on the same server, and you only get an SSL certificate as a security protection. With BlueHost, the only security protections are SSL certificate and resource protection, and again, you have the risk of hosting your website with hundreds of other websites. So quality-wise and security-wise, again, TenWeb offers the best deal, and they're absolutely for free, included in all the plans. Now let's go ahead and check the next component, which is backup. So TenWeb offers a differential real-time backup, which means that your website will be automatically backed up, and then whatever changes that you make after the last backup, only those changes will be saved. There will be no need to save everything again. And whatever changes that you make and whenever you make them, you will be able to restore them right away because the backup is done real time. Now moving on to GoDaddy, you get just a regular general backup and restore. Same with HostGator and BlueHost. You just get general backup with HostGator and restore weekly offsite backup. And with BlueHost, it's just a general backup and restore. Next comes Elasticity. At TenWeb, your website scales with your site's traffic and memory surges. This means that, for example, if you do certain marketing activities or campaigns and suddenly a huge amount of traffic comes to your website, the resources that are given to your website will automatically scale, and you will not need to worry about upgrading your website for this or doing any changes or paying right away. Everything is going to be done automatically for you. So you just can have a hands-free, hands-off approach to this. Now, with all the rest of the hosting companies, you will need to have higher plans in order to be able to use this elasticity. And with their plans that do not have elasticity, your site will be shut down. So not only do they not give you all the resources that you need, you also have the risk of having your website shut down in case of sudden traffic surges. And this, you never know whenever you're going to have a traffic surge, so you can't be prepared for that. So the next thing is uptime. Since TownWeb's websites are hosted and powered by Google Cloud, you automatically get a 99.99% uptime all the time. And the rest of the hosting plans also claim to have a 99.9% uptime, which is a very good indicator. Now, moving on to support. With TownWeb, you get 24/7 online chat support ready to answer any WordPress related questions. Now, the great thing about TownWeb is that it is a managed WordPress hosting company, and all the customer support specialists are very much geared towards WordPress related websites, and they have all the knowledge and experience connected with WordPress websites, as opposed to the rest of the hosting companies, which are shared hosting companies, and they work with not only WordPress websites, but any other websites built with any other CMS as well. So this is bad because they're not going to have specific and good knowledge of WordPress websites. So if you have a WordPress website, you better have your website hosted at a managed WordPress hosting company so that you're sure that the customer support there will be able to answer any of your questions and concerns right away in a professional way. With GoDaddy, you get a 24/7 chat and phone general support. With what was the next one? Yeah, HostGator, you get 24/7 chat and phone general support. And the last one was BlueHost, for which you do not get a 24/7 support. It's just a chat and phone general support. Now let's move on to the complementary tools. As I already showed you, with TownWeb, you get not only a managed WordPress hosting, you get a website builder based on Elementor, which include over 40 templates, over 50 premium plugins. You get SEO service, automated optimization, and analytics. Now, the next is GoDaddy. And with GoDaddy, you get over 125 free applications and email with annual plan. The next one was HostGator, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. With HostGator, you get mobile templates, image library, and email with annual plan. And with BlueHost, you get marketing credits and a Google My Business verification. So that's with the complementary tools. And the last one is the pricing, which we've already discussed. I don't think we should go over that again. So basically, we've already discussed all of the essential components that you should be taking into consideration when choosing a hosting company for your website. Now it's your turn to explore and investigate all of this and see for yourself which one works best for you.
Now that you've seen the comparison between these hosting platforms, feel free to try for yourself. Just keep in mind that you will need to keep up with the renewal prices of the shared hostings and the services and tools that they have to offer, and also the fact that the shared hostings are not geared for WordPress websites only. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell button to receive notifications about our latest posts.